It's that time. Welcome to Pop Culture Shark.
That's right. It's time for Pop Culture Shark, where we are going to today be discussing Cyberpunk Edgerunners with a special guest, my brother, Cameron, aka Chunko. So let's go ahead and get started. How's your week been, my brother?
It's been going pretty well. We basically just blazed through Cyberpunk for this week, and it was a grand old time.
Yeah, we'll definitely be getting into that here in a little bit. Anything in particular? I know that you've actually really gotten back into TF2.
I did. The new summer update came out, and I was just like, you know what? I'll get back into it. TF2 was a game that I played when like around 10 years ago. Actually, had a lot of fun with it when it became free to play. And I was just like, yeah, I'll play it. And it's still really fun. Like, what else can I say? They added a new mode too, the Saxon Hail mode. It's basically it's one person versus an entire team of people. Really fun, and also kind of reminds me of like the old days of video game voice chat. It was like, wow, I forgot that. I thought this stuff was extinct in the PS4 days.
I have walked in on him playing TF2, and someone is playing like the Metal Gear Solid music or the music from Revenge of the Sith, just blaring it through the microphone.
Or SpongeBob music.
That's true as well.
Some people will do role plays within the game.
Yeah, some people will play Spy with the Metal Gear music. So yeah, awesome. What about you, my uncle?
I have been watching a lot of Red Dwarf. I don't know how familiar you all are with Red Dwarf, but
I have not heard of it.
Okay. It is a classic British sci-fi series. It's a comedy about a guy who is basically he got in trouble on a spaceship, so they put him into solitary confinement where he was like frozen. And when he got unfrozen, everybody on the ship was dead. He had been frozen for 3 million years. So his only companions are his bunkmate that was always a jerk is dead, but he's a hologram. So he's stuck with this hologram that will not go away. That's just a jerk. Also, his cat was pregnant and evolved during those 3 million years. So the descendant of his cat is like a humanoid cat now. And then later they get a robot, and they have all these wacky adventures while they're trying to get back to Earth. It's a very, very funny show. It's on Tubi for free, all 10 seasons or whatever. So I've been enjoying that. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
you sounds interesting.
You keep talking up Tubi, and I have not made my way there yet. Soon I might. I didn't put this on the docket for news, but we can go ahead and talk about it. Disney Plus is heading the Netflix route of cracking down on password sharing.
Yeah, so I'll probably be done watching Disney Plus because I ain't giving them $1. So
no, you know what's insane? So here's the thing. I'm not saying that we do, but let's say Cameron and I did password share, and let's say that there is not a single streaming service that we pay for. Let's say
hypothetically
in
Minecraft land, hypothetically,
yeah.
On the ring,
pretty soon, the hypothetical Caleb and Cameron will have to like start splitting and deciding what they really want to watch. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you forgot about the third hypothetical solution.
Arg.
Yeah, the third hypothetical solution is to be you're literally you, Caleb, the captain. Intelligent, nihilistic, with a wicked sense of humor.
Yep. But the only pirates that we like around here are of the Caribbean. Shoutouts to Disney.
And purple space dragons.
There you go.
Um,
I'm finally gotten to the newer issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW, the stuff I have not read before, and it's pretty awesome. So I just got done reading The Child of Krang.
okay.
So that was fun. So, yeah, the first 100 issues of IDW of the Ninja Turtle run are great. And then I hear it goes downhill rapidly when they change writers. So we'll see. I'm almost there.
Is that not how it always goes?
That's how it always is. So there's a storyline that just came out where the old writer came back called the Armageddon game that I'm really looking forward to getting to. So we'll see. But I gotta get through the good stuff. I gotta get through the crap, and then I'll be back to the good stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. So as far as me, you know how I'm supposed to be beating Tears of the Kingdom by not next Sunday, but Sunday after that?
He's been
Yes.
slacking off.
So I've been playing Pokemon Violet this week. I think I'm like right before. I think next room I think is whenever I fight Ganondorf. I'm in the chasm and everything. Which, by the way, real quick, spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom right now. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4 spoilers.
Okay. So the Spirit Temple boss was like laughably easy and really disappointing.
Yeah, it was kind of like was Arms? Is that the name of that game? That's what it felt like.
It kind of reminded me of a boss fight from like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, honestly, where you just kind of had to like make it. And what it was is that you just shot it once and then you hit it with the spikes over and over again, and that was the whole fight.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah. Spoiler mode off. But yeah, so I've been playing Pokemon Violet again. I will be beating Tears of the Kingdom. I'm right there. But I was recommended a Wolfie VGC video like in my recommendations on like Monday or something like that. Who is like a Pokemon World Champion who like does analysis videos, and so I watched it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's been a while since I played Pokemon. And then they released like the Mew and Mewtwo update and everything. So yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. And watching Cyberpunk, which we will be getting to here in a little bit. But for right now, we can go ahead and move on to news. As far as news this week, there has been, and we're kind of playing catch up from last week as well. There have been talks of the Switch successor releasing after late 2024, I think. Any thoughts from the panel?
The Switch 2 has been I consider it kind of like Metroid Prime 4, where I keep hearing about it, but it's just like it's like I'll see it when I actually like touch it. Like I've been hearing it for so long. It used to be like the Metroid Prime trilogy, but now one of them is actually real. So,
There's a channel with a blue puppet called Arlo. I don't know if you've ever seen on YouTube, but he does video game reviews.
Yep.
I met him in real life. He's a nice guy. Anyhow,
but nice puppet, very nice, very much.
Yes, yeah. I got my picture.
Nice
of
puppet.
Yeah. Hey. That's. Anyhow, he predicts that Metroid Prime 4 will be a launch title for Switch 2 whenever it finally gets announced. That Metroid Prime 4 will be the big title. So
Metroid Prime 4's Switch 2's Breath of the Wild, huh?
That's what he thinks. Yes.
I've
Yeah.
actually what I heard is that they're still on track to make Prime 4 a Switch game. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of Super Metroid. If you look at the timeline, and by timeline, I mean like real life, not any sort of theories or anything. It's weird to say timeline in this aspect, but if you look at the timeline, Super Metroid was one of the last SNES games before the 64 came out. So like it would not be out of the realm of possibility.
Do you think we will hear about the Switch 2 like 6 months ahead of time, or it'll just be like, it's out, and you'll be like, wait, what?
Knowing Nintendo, both are very likely.
Because didn't they do it with, like the 3DS or the DS? Some DS system just came out of nowhere. It was like not announced. Like it was all of a sudden at E3, and they're like, oh, by the way, these are out now or something.
I think that was the new 3DS, which is the one with like the thumb pad. I don't know. I guess it really depends on what. Okay, new question for the panel. What do you think the Switch 2 actually is? Do you think that it is a new do you think that it's a new system, or do you think that it's kind of like a minor upgrade, minor upgraded system? Like, what do you think it is?
I just think it's a Switch with more horsepower and more battery life.
I don't know. I don't know about that. That doesn't seem very Nintendo to release a new system without like another gimmick. You know?
But historically, that's what they've always done: is the first system innovates, and then the second one improves. So Nintendo, Super Nintendo, those go together. The Nintendo 64, GameCube, the Wii, Wii U. So Switch 2. It's going to be some type of.
Honestly, I feel like that the Switch is actually. So I think the Wii is an anomaly, and I think the Switch is actually the improvement of the Wii U.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think too. Even Nintendo says that.
What I think is so the difference between the original 3DS and then the new 3DS. So essentially, they're still coming out with. At the time, they were still coming out with 3DS games, and there was 3DS games that they were still coming out with that you could play on both. But some games were enhanced for new 3DS with like the thumb pad, and there were also some games that required the thumb pad to be played with. So I could see it kind of being like a new 3DS, like you would just call it the new, like I could see them calling it new Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still releasing Switch games. You know, let's say that they release Metroid Prime 4, you'll still be able to play it on your Switch, but there will be enhanced mechanics if you play it on new Nintendo Switch. That's what I think it is. So I don't think that it's going to be a massive overhaul, but I do think that I think it'll kind of be like a halfway between an upgrade and a new console. So that's what I'm thinking. But in other Nintendo news, they did also this week, the Pokemon Company. Yay, Caleb's talking about Pokemon.
Yeah.
So they did have a Pokemon Presents where they added a Pokemon trading card game to the Pokemon Online and Pokemon Stadium 2 to the expansion pack. Honestly, the fact I didn't know Pokemon Stadium was on the expansion pack, I kind of don't get it. Because Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2 are like barely games without trading Pokemon to it and battling. For all intents and purposes, they're kind of 3D battlers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then they made some announcements about Violet and games. What I really wanted to talk about was this guy right here.
Oh no.
We all know who Raikou is.
He's one of the 3 legendary cats.
He's one of the 3 legendary. Stop it. Anyway, so
that's a cat.
So anyway, for those who are not familiar with Scarlet and Violet, they have Paradox Pokemon. For Violet, your Paradox Pokemon come from the future. For Scarlet, your Paradox Pokemon come from the past. And so Suicune was a Paradox version of Suicune was released, and it kind of looked like a raptor. It was like a dinosaur Suicune. So they revealed Raikou's Paradox form. And I guess it's supposed to be a Brontosaurus, but it just doesn't look right. It kind of looks like for my SpongeBob people, it looks like whenever Sandy put the trumpet on Patrick's neck and it just got really long.
I can just picture the meme of this saying, "Is this mayonnaise or is mayonnaise an instrument?
Is mayonnaise an instrument?" Or if you remember Phineas and Ferb, whenever Candace was like a model for the French guy, and he says, "You are truly my coup de crayon," and Ferb is like, "You know that's French for pencil neck." So Paradox Raikou is my coup de crayon.
I can't wait for Entei, your favorite Pokemon.
I know. So Entei is my favorite Pokemon. They're probably going to make him like a Triceratops or something, and I'm sure it will look just as stupid. But yeah, as far as Pokemon news, that's really all I wanted. I just wanted to make fun of this because it's funny.
The long neck cat.
So this one is interesting. So at Evo last week, shoutouts to Angry Bird for winning Street Fighter 6 with Ken. We are Kenuff. That's another thing. We saw the Barbie movie. We're not talking about that right now, but that's something that we saw. So they announced the TMNT Street Fighter 6 crossover, where like you can get skins for your customized character. Are you familiar with the crossover with Street Fighter 6?
You talking me?
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for this, the Ninja Turtle thing. Yes, I saw, and I saw Maximilian Dude freaking out over it or reacting to it, confusion.
Yeah.
So are these just costumes, or it's actually the characters, or does it matter?
So you in like the battle campaign mode, like you customize your character. Your character learns a Hadouken. They learn lightning legs. You're basically customizing your own character, kind of like Shujinko from Mortal Kombat Deception. And so instead of creating your own character, you can use one of the Ninja Turtles, as a skin. And you can use these for online play, not ranked, obviously, but just for some casual play. Are you familiar with the price point?
No, I just saw the trailer. That's all I saw.
A single Ninja Turtle skin is $15.
That's stupid.
$15 for one of them.
For one.
Yeah, no thanks.
And a skin for a custom character. So you can't even take it into ranked.
Yeah, like this is $15.
And I think there's like other skins. Don't quote me on this. I think there's other skins in the game. But for total to buy all the skins, both for custom characters and for regular characters, costs about $100.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I've been playing Valorant recently, and they just released their Valorant Champs weapon skins. The pack is about $60. But that game's free to play. You know, if a game is free to play and you can adequately play the game,
It's like, yeah, I got this for free. You can shake me down.
yeah, shake me down for $60. I don't care. Not only do you pay for Street Fighter 6, but you're also a Ninja Turtles fan. I gotta pay another $60 to play as all four Ninja Turtles.
Like
Um,
$20 for all four skins. People like that I would consider that pretty pricey.
That yes, definitely. I definitely think that. So here's the thing: if we look back at fighting game characters, a fighting game character, like a whole completely new character, costs anywhere between $5 to $7. And you are now essentially doubling the high point for a skin.
And do you know what's the worst part?
What?
Remember Injustice 2?
Right, yeah. Injustice 2, like, oh man,
Had the Ninja Turtles.
They did Turtles right, yo.
All four of them. And it cost $10
in one character.
Yeah.
No, it was less than $10.
No,
that was about...
I looked it up. It is $10.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember how much were the combat packs. I thought those were about 20.
I don't know, like maybe, but I'm looking at just the Ninja Turtles, and it's $10.
Oh, okay. Regardless, what the heck? So yeah, I just wanted to complain about that because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Keep in mind, I'm also a Valorant player who considered getting the champ skin. I resisted, but I considered it.
And I'm a man who has actually paid money for gacha games.
Yes, he has. So next up, there's a Last Ronin game in development. I am starting to feel like Last Ronin is becoming the Dark Knight's Metal of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Probably, yeah.
What is Dark Knight's Metal? I'm not familiar with what that is.
Really cool T-shirts.
Gotcha. So Dark Knight's Metal was kind of it was the original finale for Scott Snyder's Batman run. Everything all starting with Court of the Owls. Oh yeah, that's like where the Bat Joker or whatever. Batman Who Laughs, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it all started there, and that was like the finale essentially. And then it was everywhere. You get in video, like there was never a Dark Knight's Metal video game, but they were obviously in Mortal Kombat. They were in Injustice, and I believe that they are in Gotham Knights as well.
But hey, considering
T-shirts, figures. Now, I am not saying that this is a bad thing. Honestly, a Last Ronin video game is really cool. I just think it's
also a good way. It's also a good way to let you play as basically every turtle
in one character. Yeah, which is cool
because we don't know which turtle is the Last Ronin.
I mean, we do, but
well, I'm wondering. Well, you brought this up when I sent this to you, Caleb. Will we be able to play the flashbacks where the other turtles die? I'm thinking so, because if not, it's going to be very repetitive. You're in this, techno future fighting robot foot soldiers over and over. I think part of the appeal is what happened to the other turtles, and each of those are very unique battle scenarios that would make interesting levels or areas to play through.
Yeah. And whenever I call this the Dark Knight's Metal, by the way, I'm just talking about how Last Ronin, when did Last Ronin come out?
About 2 years ago, I want to say.
It has gotten so big in 2 years.
Yeah.
In 2 years, it has it's become its own franchise at this point.
Well, IDW is really struggling, so anything that they can latch onto that's successful, they will.
Gotcha. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Last Ronin's dope. You still need to make me read it. Maybe after Wolverine and the X-Men. But yeah, we didn't see gameplay, right?
No, it was just it was like showing kind of like four
Concept
candles. It was showing four candles and their bandanas, and like you could hear the sounds that were playing when those turtles were dying. It's like each candle was going out. There was just one candle left.
Gotcha.
So just like a CG trailer.
Yeah, it was very much a teaser. Just a
So
hey, we're making it was a Metroid Prime 4 is what it was. It was hey, we're
Not
making
even- well,
this.
hey, that's an insult to the last Ronin.
Yeah,
This
wasn't
game's
that
coming
bad.
out.
Yeah,
As far as gameplay style, I wouldn't be surprised if this kind of takes after Insomniac Spider-Man games.
I would say it would be more Rocksteady, because Insomniac and Rocksteady, while they have very similar gameplay, have a different feel. And Rocksteady's gameplay is a bit more gritty, more like crunchy.
Sure.
And I feel like that would fit very well with Last Ronin.
Yeah. Anyway, last piece of news before we get on to the main topic. So this is something that's actually going to segue into Cyberpunk Edgerunners. As we were watching Cyberpunk, I'm like, man, I really wish I could play like a video game of this, but I don't want to play 2077, which is the video game of this. And so I looked up like, any good, and so I found this Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It actually comes out in 5 days. Are you familiar with this?
no, I have no idea what this is.
So you know how like they'll come out like Mighty Number 9, which is kind of the spiritual successor to Mega Man. Bloodstain is Castlevania, and Freedom Planet's kind of like the new Sonic, and stuff like that. Or the Ukulele was very much a like a Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Well, this is Jet Set Radio.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I just think it looks really cool. I don't think we're going to show a trailer. I think we're going to, for the time being, they're starting to crack down on reactions. So I think we're going to refrain from videos for the time being, at least. But yeah, I definitely wanted to throw this out there. But like I said, as a segue, I think it's time that we get on into our main topic, which is Netflix's. Is this a hit series or was this a cult classic?
I think it had pretty big. Yeah, they had a pretty big following. A lot of people were talking about it.
It single-handedly made people reconsider Cyberpunk 2077.
All right. So we are going to be talking about the hit Netflix series Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
And so the way I think we should do this is we have a very quick description of non-spoilers and our just overall, do we like it or not? And then we'll get into a deep spoiler discussion.
Yes, definitely. I'll go ahead and start with that. I don't know if you told me that this was better than Arcane, but if you did, I definitely didn't believe you. But this is better than Arcane.
I don't know if I agree with that, but it's darn close. They're both really good.
This is the perfect anime. I have no complaints. I love Cowboy Bebop. I always said that Cowboy Bebop was the closest thing to the perfect anime, but even then, Vicious causes a lot of issues with that anime. There's nothing to complain about with this. This is a perfect 10 episode series.
Yeah. So for those who don't know what this is, our story follows. His name's David. Correct. It's been about
David.
8. It's been about 8
Yeah.
months since I've seen this. So if I get something wrong,
Yes.
you two can jump in. But he lives with his mom. His mom is a paramedic,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
they are struggling to make ends meet. He goes to a prestigious school that
He
he really
probably
doesn't.
doesn't belong
He
in.
doesn't want to be there. He doesn't fit in, and they don't have the money for it. And they get all kinds of money issues. And so his mom is like trying to encourage him. They're driving down the road, and then there is a shooting. His mom dies, and now he's just like, "What do I do? My life is it's a mess."
Mhm.
And one of the things he finds is a cybernetic spinal implant, and turns out that his mom, to make ends meet, she was smuggling these from people who died that she was treating when she was a paramedic, and turning around selling their cybernetic implants.
Yep.
And so he's like, "Screw it! I'm putting in this implant." And he puts in the implant and discovers that he can go at really fast speeds and super strength and all this stuff. And so he starts stealing, and then he meets this girl, Lucy, and turns out Lucy's part of a gang called the Edgerunners, and they want the implant back, but then they find out who his mother was, and so they let him join the gang. And I think that's all. That's as far as we will go for non
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah. At that point, that is, I would say, probably the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
enough. So I mean, he's part of this gang. They go on a lot of runs, and stuff happens. Animation is really good. The English,
Studio Trigger.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the English voice cast is actually really good. I did not watch this.
Phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's fantastic.
um, really good intro song by Franz Ferdinand, if I recall.
Yes, Cameron and I, we have both been obsessed with Franz Ferdinand for the past
Week.
week. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's such a good song. It's called "This Fire," but it's got like 3 Fs in it.
yeah.
It's really fun. Um, but yeah, overall, let's go into.
Real quick,
Okay.
I like this quite a bit.
Okay.
If you just watch the first episode in Bell, you might think, "Oh, what's the big deal?" You have to give this anime time to grow.
At
And
least 3 episodes.
I think you all said you were watching 2 episodes at a time. I think that's a good pace for
Yeah.
this. But yeah, it's definitely not for children.
No, not even close.
Oh no.
Within the first 5 minutes, that lets you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if the violence doesn't deter your children, very next thing that happens will.
The just oppressive atmosphere.
That's not what I was talking about.
yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, there's just
Oh, the other one,
yeah,
Yeah,
so it's got a little bit of everything. Let's leave it there. So yeah, so we're going to get into spoilers. So if you have not watched this, we highly recommend you check it out because we're going to discuss everything. So if you're going to leave us now, we thank you for watching. Join us next week, but it's spoiler time.
Right, exactly. And if you haven't seen this, I implore you, please stop watching now. Whenever, by the way, I've been putting out the shark bites. I hope y'all have been enjoying them. If you are currently watching the shark bite of this, stop the video now. Go watch this.
And then come back.
Yes, yeah, and then come back and have a fun discussion with us. So yeah, as far as Edgerunners, I really enjoyed this. I think that the cast really shines. I think everyone gets time to shine.
Yeah.
Cameron will tell you that Rebecca is my favorite character.
Mhm.
and he's right.
Oh, Rebecca's great.
Oh, absolutely. Also, another thing, you send me an image of freaking Pillar. So So, am I about to get my head blown up by like a cyber psycho? Know what you're saying?
I was trying to figure out what to put under my name, and I was about to put cyborg peeing or peeing cyborg or something.
Man, for me, I just had to do a Pale Fire reference because it's kind of cyberpunky.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love Rebecca. I love. So initially, you don't get a whole lot of Falco. In those last 4 episodes, you get plenty of Falco.
Yeah, and I believe he appears in the video game. Is that correct?
In the DLC,
yes.
there's an Edgerunners DLC that came out after the show, and he appears.
And at the end of the DLC, you actually do get David's jacket.
Yeah, I knew like you could visit like Lucy's apartment or something. There's different things you can do that are related to the show.
And apparently, there's actual cameos of Cyberpunk 2077 characters in the actual show, not just the obvious one being Adam.
Right.
Yeah, apparently. So Adam Smasher is apparently a really easy boss in 2077.
Oh, that sucks.
So much so, there's mods that are just like, okay, here's him actually like tough, actually a threat.
So I think another reason that this is the perfect anime is because I think there are clearly within 10 episodes they do the classic 2-act structure of anime. And whenever I say the classic 2-act structure, I think episodes 1 through 6 are the first act. Mm-hmm. And then when Maine dies, and there's about it seems like it's a couple months. They don't specify, but I'm pretty sure it's a couple months.
I think it's like a year time skip.
It's something like that. So from episode 7 to 10, it's almost kind of like your Dragon Ball Z or your Naruto Shippuden. But the transition is like mid-season and it works really well. Which, by the way, did you call Cameron knows that I did, but did you call Maine dying pretty early on?
Yeah, I mean the cyber psychosis. But once everybody starts getting cyber psychosis, it is someone's gonna die.
Well,
also just like he's a father figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as he was becoming a father figure to David, which so here's the thing about this spoiler discussion as well. It's going to be impossible to talk about this show without at least bringing up what happens. So I'm going to try to be as vague as possible, and I'm going to use innuendo, but just bear with me. Whenever Maine is like talking about like, so how's it going with Lucy? And he's like, oh, good. We're just, she's training me. He's like, that's not what I'm talking about, man. Are you like getting any? like I don't know. I just Maine is such a. I love Maine. He's great. I mean, I love every character.
And like I would say like the best episodes were either episode 6 with Maine's death or episode 10. Like
the
one of them.
The one where Pilar dies, that opening is insane.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the third best.
So that episode, I think, and is that episode 3 or 4?
4.
Okay, I want to say it's 4.
So I think that episode tells you what the show is going to be. I don't think you understand the show until
because you're like, oh, nobody's safe at that moment. You're like, any of these people could die at any moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a little bit more about the plot. Basically, everybody is interested in the spinal implant. The fact that David is able to withstand it and not die, but he keeps getting more and more addicted to cyber. And the more cyber you put in, the more you're opening yourself up to cyber psychosis, where people just go insane.
Right.
You slowly but surely lose your humanity.
The thing that really tips them off is how, because he doesn't know that you're supposed to take medication whenever you get implants. So the amount that he has gone through without taking medication astounds everyone.
Yeah, he should not be standing, and yet he's. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's fine, but he is. he is handling it.
He can form complete sentences.
Yeah.
I actually looked up like what that kind of person is in terms of the Cyberpunk tabletop game. And apparently what David has is a very high humanity stat, like an absurdly high humanity stat.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, not only is Cyberpunk an anime on Netflix, not only is it a video game by CD Projekt Red, it actually originated as a tabletop RPG called Cyberpunk 2020.
A la Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. And so that's actually where all this originates. That's actually an interest. I kind of feel like, because I didn't think about this. It's kind of like,
like an actual session.
Well, whenever we reviewed the Dungeons and Dragons movie, where we were like, hey, they rolled a natural 1 there, this is their stats here.
Mm-hmm.
David having a high humanity stat, I guess that makes a lot of sense as to an in-universe, because honestly, they don't really give you a reason as to why. They just say he's really special.
Yeah. So another plot point is they are doing missions for a mysterious guy named Faraday, who is voiced by Caleb's favorite actor, whose name is
Giancarlo Esposito.
Thank you.
As soon, because I wanted to watch this in subs, but then I heard the dub was better anyway, and then I found out.
Yeah, I heavily pushed you towards dubs, and I don't like dubs, but I heard this is a good dub.
But then as soon as I saw Giancarlo Esposito's name on there, I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch this. And Faraday's great and horrifying. Continue.
Yeah, and so not all the missions are going 100% great, but they are doing missions for him, and they don't know why. They don't really ask questions. They just do what he says. And then there's like a couple different groups. Is it like Militech or something?
There's Militech is the one that Faraday works for, and then Arasaka is the one that everyone is familiar with that kind of runs Night City. Arasaka Academy is where David went. And his bully was actually the son of Tanaka, who is kind of like one of the main people of Arasaka. Really, we got kind of like a faction war between Arasaka, Militech, and any Edgerunner, any Netrunner that you can find, and I don't think they're they are called the Edgerunners. That's right.
And so I was not familiar with the video game at all. I knew nothing going in. So when Atom Smasher initially showed up, I thought it was the bully that they had hooked him up to cybernetics. Like this was going to be like the final match between them. And so I'm kind of thankful they didn't go that cliched path. But for a while there, I thought that was
they did foreshadow Atom Smasher at the beginning of the time skip, saying like, "Hey, David, you think you're the next Atom Smasher?" And he's like, "Who's Atom Smasher?" It's like, "Oh, he's like the living legend. Something he's a myth."
Yeah. So, so one of the main characters is Lucy, David's love interest, and she can I can't remember what they called it, but she can hack into systems.
She's a Netrunner.
Okay, and so she has a mysterious past, and as we go through the story, you find out that she was part of an experiment with a bunch of children to
by
Arasaka to hack the old net, and most of these kids are dead, and she escaped from that program.
And by old net, about 50 years ago, and this is said and that's what I like about this is like you can say it in one. They said it in one sentence. I understood. Like the old net, a legendary hacker corrupted the entire internet, and they had to start over.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this similar to Blade Runner 2049? Wasn't there some old net on there also?
Yeah, they had the blackout.
Yeah, so I'll probably get some plot points from these two things mixed up a little, but
they're pretty similar.
Yeah,
they have to come up with an excuse to have the cool cyberpunk aesthetic with while also taking place like in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and a lot of this sounds like, oh, whatever, but we're like one solar flare away from having our internet wiped out at any moment.
Hey, on the right side, no more Twitter. I mean, X.
Which, by the way, I do want to point this out. This show puts the punk back in cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
Because like, you know, a lot of times you've got, you know, your cyberpunk stuff that's a lot of electronica and EDM. This is straight up punk music, man. And like they are punks. It's so cool.
Yeah, a lot of people attribute cyberpunk to just more like cyber noir, you know?
But this is punk, man.
And this world, it feels really lived in, and just the horrific thing when his mother dies, and they're like, "Oh, she's not a subscriber to our insurance or whatever.
Right.
We're just gonna let her die." And you think, "Oh, that's terrible," but you could see us getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting close.
Do you want to hear something funny? So the so the scene where they actually get in the car accident and his mom dies, the roadside assistance actually stops, and they're like, wait a second, they're not a member of ours, and so they just leave. That actually happened to me when back in college, where I got like a flat tire. Someone from AAA stopped and was like, "Hey, are you a subscriber or a member?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay." Just gets in his car and leaves.
That's when you lie. You go, yeah, I maybe, I don't know."
So in a sense, we are kind of there. I mean, like, I wasn't in a fire or ready to die.
This is the most boring cyberpunk reality ever.
Yeah, this is
I'm supposed to get my head blown off by a cyber psycho.
Yeah.
Which by the way, I want to mention that cyber psycho fight with the peeing cyber psycho. That was just a great fight.
Oh yeah.
One thing we failed to mention is that opening scene where with all the cops.
Oh yeah.
That is just insane. Where it's like, oh, what is it? Oh my gosh, this show's violent.
Yes. Like I said, it opens up with violence, and then the very next scene is extremely sexual.
Yeah.
And so the first 5 minutes will tell you, should I be watching the show?
Yeah, and I'm
like, get out of here, kids.
Yeah, that is nice that they didn't wait till like episode 5 and go, oh, by the way, it's violence and sex. It's right away, like, okay, yeah. you know if you should be watching this or not, and get out before you get hooked.
Also, about that scene, I'm pretty sure you can do all of those things in the intro in the actual game, because I've actually seen gameplay of 2077 like high tier builds, and you basically do the exact same things.
But can you do it with Keanu Reeves? The violence and all that?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's the greatest game ever, except it's so many glitches, but it's the greatest game ever.
Well, I've heard they patched a lot of them. It still doesn't run too well, but they patched a lot of the glitches.
So back to the plot.
You're breathtaking.
So there is a relationship formed between David and Lucy, and one of the first things that they do when they meet is she hooks him up to virtual reality, and they go on a trip to the moon, and you kind of find out this is her dream, that one day she wants to get out of here and leave all this behind and go to the moon. And, David kind of thinks it's dumb, but he's like, okay, whatever, you know.
You know what's like the coolest thing though? And they end up bringing it up like later on in the show, because all of this is just a ruse to trap him so they can get the spine before he joins up with them, right?
Yeah.
But she still tells him the truth about her dream to the moon.
Yeah, and they foreshadow you before he meets her. Like David's looking out the window, seeing a rocket take off and stuff, and it's right there from the right at the very beginning. He's kind of like, oh, people are getting out here, whatever. So yeah, so they end up start having some of their missions go sideways. They go after a designer who designs what was it called? It was like
Snuff.
memories of
Snuff films, basically.
Basically, and that's actually how the show starts. Is David is watching one of those of the guy fighting all the cops.
So the guy who is actually the original user of the spine that his
Yes.
mom kind of boosts,
Yeah,
and then he ends up getting. So essentially, he probably doesn't even realize that he watched his own origin there.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they end up going after the designer, and it's kind of ends up that David gets kidnapped, but that they're using this to get to Tanaka. And I've read some YouTube theories that I don't necessarily buy, but that David is still trapped there. That the rest of the series
No.
from that point on is just
No,
him trapped.
no, because 2077 disproves that hardcore.
Right,
With
but
the side quests.
there are people that say like when the designer's dying, he turns and smiles to David and all this. Like there's something weird. Like is he still? They kind of hint that maybe none of this is real, or I don't know. I'm just telling you what the YouTubes
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. That one I'm not a fan of.
Well, that's what YouTube theorists always like to do is like, oh yeah, that thing that happened, it didn't actually happen. It was his mind the whole time.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Hello, internet.
Yeah.
Is David really still alive? I don't know.
He did a theory on this. I don't remember what it was though, but I know he did a theory on this. So, anyhow, things start getting really bad because cyberpsychosis is hitting Maine, and they have a mission that just goes totally insane. Where I cannot think of Maine's girlfriend's name.
Kiwi.
Not Kiwi.
No,
No,
Kiwi's
the other one.
The other one. Kiwi is one that Maine accidentally punched due to cyberpsychosis.
Oh, that's right. It's a Doria.
Yeah. During this mission, Maine ends up killing her, shooting her, and
fully snaps.
Yeah, and by the end, what are they called? Forgive me again. It's been 8 months since I watched this.
The trauma team.
Yeah, like the SWAT trauma team or whatever showing up, and David rushes back to try to save him, but it's too late. Maine blows everything up, and David salvages Maine's arms, but that's about it. And at this point, is when David becomes the leader and Lucy leaves the team.
Yeah. Essentially, whenever Maine dies, that's kind of like the end of Act 1, and then the time skip happens.
Yeah. And we see that David is getting jacked. He's getting a lot bigger, a lot more cybernetic implants. And
he's slowly but surely losing his humanity.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah, because he's losing his mind. He kills an innocent person.
He kills a mother of a son who's about his age going into the academy, reminds him of his own mother. He's in a bad place.
Yeah. And Lucy not being on the team is not helping. He's all over the place.
They still live together, but she's just not around.
And this also goes back to the pen and paper game. A way to increase your humanity, like to increase cyberpsychosis, is actually being with people that you like love and care about. So he is like, not only is he completely alone, but he's also jacking himself up with more chrome. So he's worst case scenario.
Yeah, we do see them going on a lot of runs with David as the leader. We kind of see a brother sister relationship forming between him and Rebecca. Rebecca is a complete psycho, but she is great and really cares for David.
Oh no, I don't see a brother. Okay, maybe he's feels like a big brother, but Rebecca definitely
Like,
she wants something else.
Yeah,
like
she's
well,
a
it's very clear that Rebecca has been crushing on David since the very beginning.
yeah.
Honestly, you know what? My favorite is whenever one time she strikes out with David, and then Kiwi's like, "Have you tried another approach?" And she's like, "What? Like reserved and stoic?" And then it cuts immediately to Lucy. But yeah, so at that point the team is David. They bring on this guy Julio for like a scene, and then he immediately dies.
I was trying to figure out who that was on your picture a while ago. I forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy that dies with like 5 minutes.
It was the red shirt.
The red shirt. Rebecca Falco is still their getaway driver, and Kiwi has taken up the reins as the sole net runner because Lucy is not a part of them anymore. Which help me out with this. So Falco is just a really good driver. Does he have any like implants?
I noticed he had an arm implant, like he had some robot arms, but that's just about it.
Okay,
Like robot forearms.
Yeah, I thought that like maybe he's just like a really good driver. Which, by the way, Falco, voiced by Matthew Mercer, very much just his McCree from Overwatch voice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, eventually, I think at that point they meet up with Faraday, and Faraday hasn't really talked to them since Maine died, and so now he wants to see if David can take up the reins that Maine was doing with whatever it was they were trying to do against Arasaka,
which was the cyber skeleton.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, and also we see that Militech is not happy with Faraday because of all the failed missions, and so now Arasaka is approaching Faraday. And so he's kind of like, what the heck? And so he sends them on the mission. I really like the last 2 episodes. He sends them on it's basically a trap, and they don't know it, out in the desert.
Well, and so we did forget one thing. Right before Maine died, they capture Tanaka from Arasaka. And
Lucy's in his head.
Lucy net runs in his head. She sees the cyber skeleton and how it all goes back to David, and so she kind of corrupts the memory, and Tanaka
inadvertently gets Rain and Gloria
Maine and Doria
killed.
Yeah. And so essentially the reason that she's not a part of the team is because she's busy kind of doing her own Hawkeye Ronin thing, where she's going essentially she's going to everybody who is investigating this corrupted memory and killing them in order to protect David. And so essentially Arasaka approaches Faraday and is like, hey, we need you to find out who keeps killing our people trying to look into Tanaka's memory. So you find them and we'll give you money. So essentially Faraday's working both sides at this point.
Yeah. And he kind of sets up you may have just said this. He sets up Militech when they attack David out in the desert. He's trying to get David to put on the what is it called? The
cyber skeleton.
The cyber skeleton.
Which is the ultimate weapon that they've been hinting at this entire show.
Yeah, and and because to show how powerful it is, he wants him to wipe out Militech to show Arasaka how powerful the suit is. And so it's like a kind of reminds me a little bit of the end of Firefly, where they're all like surrounded. There's no hope left, and so David's like, to save Lucy, I got to put on the suit. And Rebecca's begging him not to do it, and he puts on the suit, and he's going crazy. And is this where Rebecca injects the medicine in him? I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing about the cyber skeleton is because it causes so much cyber psychosis, it actually has its own injection like reservoir.
Yeah.
So like every 5 minutes, David's getting injected.
Yeah. And this is the point where Kiwi
betrays them.
Betrays him. Falco gets taken out by Kiwi. He doesn't die, but he gets taken out, and you find that Kiwi's been working with Faraday, set up Lucy to get captured, and all that. So,
but then Faraday betrays Kiwi, and then she's like,
no loose ends, essentially.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, the heck with this, and called up the old crew. Is like, hey, Faraday's over there.
Yeah, but in the desert, we see David at full power just destroy everybody.
It is so cool. And the thing is like he's got this big Gundam body. You know what it's like? Imagine like Lex Luthor's giant robot body that he has, but he's moving as fast as the Flash.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is very accurate to Cyberpunk 2020 lore in terms of power levels.
Yeah, so the actual tabletop game, unlike D&D, you don't. So in D&D, whenever you level up, like your health pool kind of raises as well. So like your HP, your max HP raises. That's not how it works in Cyberpunk. Your HP stays the same from the beginning, but you keep getting like more and more powerful with like your implants and cybernetics. So very, very, very similar.
So you can kill fast, but you also die fast.
Yeah.
So we see a very crazy car chase.
So cool.
Oh yeah. Also very sad.
Yeah. So they're kind of running out of places to escape to. So they're like, we're going straight to the tower to get Lucy back. So David goes up there.
Yeah. What I love about this has nothing to do with like saving the world or exposing it has nothing to do with exposing like a corruption thing, because like the entire city's corrupt. You're not going to expose anything. It is purely Faraday betrayed us and he is going to die and we have to save Lucy. That is all it is.
Super personal.
Yeah. Yep. So David gets up there and is confronting everyone, and then that's when they unleash is it Adam Smasher? Is that his name?
Adam Smasher, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
in the old lore, like Adam Smasher has been a character since I think 2020.
The Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop game. So so this is a character that's been around in the lore for like
nearly a century. Nearly a century.
Well, I mean,
half 20 century.
Yeah. Well, I meant like 20 years, as in that's how long the game's been out.
Oh yeah.
That's what I meant. But yeah, so like this isn't just a character that they made up for the game. This isn't a character that they just made up for the show. This is probably like
he's the Tiamat of Cyberpunk.
Right. He's kind of like the Scorpion or something like that. Not necessarily the Liu Kang, but like the Scorpion.
So they start fighting, but then David grabs Lucy. They're escaping. They jump out of the skyscraper. Faraday falls to his death, and then one of the saddest moments ever happens. Rebecca shooting straight up, and Adam Smasher crushes her.
Right. Yeah. So whenever the show was going on, I was like, okay, Cameron, I'm going to call this. David's not making it out. I think Lucy's going to make it out. I think Falco's going to make it out, and I think Rebecca's going to make it out. And then that happens.
Yeah, which was shocking because Rebecca is such a fan favorite character. When that happens, it's just kind of like, oh crap, nobody's safe.
Well, it's this is a story of like rhymes. So of course that the unexpected death at the end is going to be the sister of the unexpected death from the beginning.
I didn't catch that, but you are right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, nobody's safe. The one thing that you know going into this, there are two certainties. There is no way that David, because even David accepts this, there's no way he makes out of this alive, but Lucy has to.
Well, just look at the picture that you have on screen.
Yeah.
There's no way he's walking out of this.
Also, the intro of the actual show shows what happens to David at the end.
Yes, it is very much telling you that, yes, this is going to kill David. This is...
He is not making out of the story alive.
Yeah. We thought about making that the thumbnail of David with the hole in his head. I was like, yeah, I don't know if you would be up for that. So
yeah.
Maybe the shot of David like intimidatingly like walking towards the camera in the intro.
That was another one that we thought about. But we already have one.
Okay.
Now, as far as I think right here, this is the best shot in the whole show.
Mm-hmm. They're finally on the moon.
I'm sorry that we couldn't go to the moon together.
But they are on the moon. Look.
It's right there in their grasp, but they can't quite get there.
That broke me.
I was watching. As soon as the music started playing, like he looked over me and was like, "I'm about to cry, man."
Yeah, that song. Like I'll just let YouTube randomly pick songs, and it'll pick that song out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, he didn't make it to the moon. Oh
yeah. But yeah, so it's essentially at this point, David says, Falco, I need to give you a favor. I need you to do me a favor. And so essentially Falco grabs Lucy and he's just got to get her out of there while David holds up Atom Smasher, which, I mean, he really doesn't even stand a chance. Atom Smasher is like, he has cyberpsychosis, but it's almost like that's his natural habitat.
Yeah.
And so, Lucy's like, we got to turn back. And Falco's like, can't do that. David will have died for nothing. He said that we have the money. He wants us to split it. And he wanted me to tell you. And then it cuts to David saying, I'm sorry, we couldn't go to the moon together. And
credit to Atom Smasher, he's just like, you really could have been something, And David's just like, whatever, choom.
Yeah, right. And so Atom Smasher kills David. Falco and Lucy make it out alive, and then time skip. Lucy makes it on the moon and imagines that David is there with her. And then that is the show.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I know the video game exists, but it's interesting that Atom Smasher still lives at the, he's still, the bad guy doesn't get defeated, the hero does. And
that's
I consider Adam to be more like an obstacle.
Yeah.
In this.
So what this show really is about what someone wants. The very beginning, Gloria, David's mom, asks, "What do you want?" And he says, "I don't know."
Well,
and
I think it's how far will you go for someone you love to help them, And you see the sacrifices his mom is making for David. Then you see what David's willing to sacrifice for Lucy.
Yeah. And even then, whenever Tanaka wakes up in episode 6, and he says, hey man, what do you want? You let me go, I'll give you whatever you want. And David freezes up because he doesn't know what he wants. The whole show, honestly, that's what I love about this. The whole show, David is doing stuff for no reason.
Just for the sake of doing it.
Right. Like David has no reason for what he is doing. It is actually whenever he puts on the cyber skeleton and goes after Faraday to save Lucy, that is the first instance where we figure out what David wants. And what David wants is for Lucy to be safe and to go to the moon. That is all he wants.
Yep.
And the tragic thing is all Lucy truly ever wanted
was for David to be safe.
Yeah, she just wanted David.
So it's almost kind of like the gift of the Magi. If you pull it way out, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, this is just a great show.
It was a brilliantly done series. Yeah, I was telling Caleb last night, I've watched some different reactions, and I've seen a reaction where people are like, they did not like David the first episode. Like, I don't know why I'm gonna watch this. And then by the end, they're so invested that they're so upset with what happened to David and Lucy. And
and I can tell you why people don't like David. It's because people don't like someone without ambition or motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And David has no ambition or motivation throughout the whole show. It isn't until he meets Lucy that his life is given meaning.
Yeah, and you keep seeing that he has chances for happiness, but he keeps getting more and more addicted. And you're like, no, David, don't put more cyber on. Stop. And you're watching a losing battle. Because the cyber psychosis stuff is just crazy when his eyes just start going bonkers. And
yeah, I think one of the coolest things is whenever so David's going in and out of cyber psychosis pretty much the entire last episode. Mm-hmm. Whenever they're doing the car chase, it flashes back and forth between what's happening now and the car chase with his mom.
Oh, that's what that scene meant. Because I couldn't figure out why. Wait, why is it? Yeah, I could not figure out why it's changed to daytime. Okay, yeah. I totally missed what. Yeah, I was just confused. Yeah, that's it. That's cool.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, and then when he's on top of Arasaka Tower, and he's like, "Look, Mom, I'm finally on top."
His mom always wanted him to be at the top floor of Arasaka Tower. Finally, he's at the top of Arasaka Tower.
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect anime. Trigger does it again. I love Studio Trigger. I know we talked about like what the Arcane studio did previously. For Trigger, Kill la Kill's their big thing.
Oh, Kill la Kill's so much fun.
I know.
It's a guilty pleasure. It's it's a lot of fan service.
I am not guilty at all. I'm not guilty at all. I feel no guilt for Kill la Kill. They also did 2 episodes of Star Wars Visions in season 1.
They were originally founded by a team that did. They were originally founded by the team at Gainax, who did Gurren Lagann, and another show that I can't say because it's inappropriate, but it has a 2nd season coming out, and I'm really excited.
Okay, we can say that it's a show called New Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. That's what the show is called.
Okay.
Great show.
Never heard of it, but okay.
It's a parody. It's an anime parody of 2000s era American cartoons like Powerpuff Girls.
Oh no. Okay.
Studio Trigger is one of my favorite animation studios. They've done it again. I can't believe it's taken me a year to watch this show. In fact, I think it'll be like a
kept
year.
badgering you to like, hey, we should watch this. We should watch this. We should watch this.
I wanted to finish Arcane first, and then I never finished Arcane. and then I finished Arcane, and then it was time to watch this. But yeah, this is, like I said, I think this is better than Arcane. I believe this to be the perfect anime.
So if you have somehow sat through this whole conversation and have still not watched this, go watch it. It is really great.
Even with spoilers, it's still amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm actually curious as to how this watch is on second watch through, knowing what happens. Now, like, what's that name of that song? I really want to stay at your house was the name of the song, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was the song. But yeah, definitely go watch this. If you have watched this, go watch it. It's just great.
If you have watched it, you will also be tempted to play 2077, but then you realize as you boot it up, your PC will explode.
That was like the warning going into this. Like, you read the like, hey, be careful watching this. It will make you want to play Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and switch topics now. I'm gonna throw a topic that we didn't have on our list on here real quick because I forgot. I watched a movie also.
Okay.
So why don't you all give your Barbie thoughts, and then I'll talk about the Weird Al story.
Gotcha. So, as far as Barbie,
I liked it.
It was good. I don't think. I mean, here's the thing: it would never live up to the hype.
No, that advertising campaign was just too good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ryan Gosling.
I think this movie really struggles with its messages.
It feels like the script was fighting itself against multiple drafts. Like, there's multiple drafts of a script that were just smushed together, and it's fighting itself.
Yeah, because we know that there was a different script early on with Amy Schumer as Barbie, and then it went through a bunch of changes.
I would say there's. You continue.
It's fine. I haven't seen the movie, but I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is, too much feminism, or this or that or whatever," and it's kind of like you kind of knew what you were getting into when you went and saw this movie.
Yeah, basically, there's like 3 points. There's 3 points in the timeline where you can tell which is change or which is not. There's moments in the film where it's like, okay, this is from the original draft of Amy Schumer Barbie. Then there's the era where Margot Robbie is first cast. And finally, there's the era where Ryan Gosling gets cast as Ken, and the Ken memes just go crazy.
Yeah, as far as I think the biggest issue with this movie is it can't decide whether or not its messages are radical feminism or true feminism.
Yeah.
And I have to be very careful about this because
be labeled as sexist.
Right. I don't want to be labeled as something that I'm not.
You're a Ken.
Yeah, Ken.
But it very much struggles between its messages of equality versus,
women are the dominant.
Down with the patriarchy.
Right. Like,
take a shot every time. Here's a drinking game that'll kill you. Watch the Barbie movie and take a shot every time you hear the word patriarchy. You will die.
So yeah, I definitely can't decide whether or not it's about the equality between men and women or just women taking over in general.
Or also
and one of the
feminism.
Yeah, and one of those I agree with, and one of those I disagree with. So
Ryan Gosling is the best.
Ryan Gosling is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. Absolutely.
He is going to get he's gonna get a nomination at the Oscars,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
And the nominees for the Oscar of Best Original Song are "I'm Just Ken," the Barbie movie, and "Peaches" from the Super Mario movie.
Oh, what a weird year!
I know. What did you watch? Now that I have outed myself as a sexist.
So on the Roku channel, you can check out the Weird Al story, 100% true biopic about his life story.
Yes, of course.
Oh yeah, very true.
Yeah, have either of you seen this?
No, I
No, but I've
haven't.
heard of it. I've heard of what it's about.
It's one of those things where I think it's funnier if you don't know what the movie is going into it.
Which it will be impossible because I know that it's
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to throw a spoiler at the other or not, but about halfway through, it becomes very clear that this is not true. It gets like,
I mean, like he dates Madonna, right?
yeah, and well, I mean, at that point you could come like, well, I mean, maybe this happened, but I mean, there's a part with where Pablo Escobar kidnaps Madonna. Then you're like, okay, wait, what is happening?
That's so funny.
I will spoil. There's a funny joke where they're at a pool party. Dr. Demento's throwing a pool party, and there's all these like musical celebrities there, like like David Bowie and Gallagher and Alice Cooper and all this stuff. And I can't think of his first name, but Deacon from Queen, the drummer or the bassist from Queen, is there, and he plays they do the Another One Rides the Bus song, and then at the end Deacon's like, we're doing this show at Live Aid, and we'd love for you to headline it with us. And Weird Al's like hard pass, and everybody laughs the guy out of the place. It's just there's just a lot of things like that. It's just really funny. Toby Huss is in it. He plays Weird Al's dad. He was, if you don't know who that is, that was Artie, the strongest man in the world from Pete and Pete. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
the strongest man in the world.
There's a lot of cameos of people in it.
How is Radcliffe? I'm sure he was great, right?
Wonderful. He's up for I believe an Emmy or something for this, and yeah, he deserves it. He is fantastic as Weird Al.
I'm really glad that like some of these actors who kind of starred in teeny bopper films are kind of making their way out. Like Robert Pattinson started off in Twilight, but at this point,
well, he started out in Harry Potter.
That's right, he was Cedric.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point, I would be surprised if the first thing anyone thought of for Robert Pattinson was Twilight. At this point, he's Batman. He was in Lighthouse. I mean, like, he's fantastic. And I mean, it'll be hard for Daniel Radcliffe to not be remembered as Harry Potter, but he is making moves to become more so of an artist and not just Harry Potter. I've seen commercials for this show that he's been on for the past couple of years, Miracle Workers. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it.
Okay. I've just seen commercials for it, and I'm like, I wonder if that's any good.
I was going to say that Shia LaBeouf is another one that started out as a child actor and then kind of shook that image for better or worse. But
I would say for worse.
He is a part of the Hollywood Suicide Squad. It's amazing. With Britney Spears and Mel Gibson.
I still like Shia.
So do I. So do I. Yeah.
Shia is an interesting character.
I was upset whenever Mutt Williams wasn't in Indy 5. I feel like I'm the only person who was upset. About that.
I was.
Yeah, I feel like he got shafted. He got hit dirty with that one.
It would have been a better ending or better plot if he was MIA.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he's in Las Vegas or something.
But at the end, when
he's in Canada.
At the end of the movie, we got the spoiler sign back up. At the end of the movie, when Indy's wife comes back, if they they found out Mutt's alive, and that's then it's we move on from that pain, or something. It'd be a happier ending. But
Yeah.
all right, I'm taking off the spoiler sign for one last time. Actually, maybe not. We're about to talk about One Piece.
Yep.
So
Yep. So we'll go ahead and keep the spoilers up. So we have a rant of the week because I have to rant about this.
okay.
So I don't know if you've been seeing the discourse about Gear 5.
Well, I don't watch the anime, but I do read the manga, so I'm aware of Gear 5 definitely.
So the discourse on the internet about Gear 5 is there are these weirdo One Piece fans
fans who probably haven't been fans, who've probably been fan for like a year.
They're
Okay.
they're like, I'm just gonna say it. Gear 5 is more iconic than Ultra Instinct. Or like Gear 5 is more iconic than Super Saiyan, or stuff like that. I need to rant about this. Shut up. No, it's not.
I love Gear 5.
But it's not iconic as Ultra Instinct, man.
I don't know how it looks in the anime.
It's this.
It's Looney Tunes.
Well, I mean that's what it was in the manga, and I love it because that's Luffy's personality. He's just pure chaos.
No, I mean,
what I do love about Gear 5 is these One Piece fans who haven't existed in like 2 years ago. Literally, I've not seen these people did not exist 2 years ago. Saying like, "Oh, Gear 5 is so cool. It could beat everyone. It's like the coolest thing ever." Showing all this cool fan art of him being like really kick butt and whatnot. And then you see the actual anime, and it's literal Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, it's Luffy Tunes. That's what we call it, Luffy Tunes.
Rubber hose.
There are these videos of them putting Ed and Eddie sounds to Dragon Ball Z fights. It's the same thing. But just so I can cap off this rant, let me tell you why Gear 5 will never be as iconic as this guy right here, okay? Gear 5 will never be as iconic as Ultra Instinct because I've never heard of Gear 5 Shaggy, okay? I've heard of Ultra Instinct Shaggy, but I haven't heard of Gear 5 Shaggy.
Well, to be fair, Gear 5 is still fairly new. But
also, I don't think there's going to be a Gear 5 Rolf either.
No, but to be fair, I love One Piece, and One Piece is definitely hugely popular in Japan. It's still not as popular as Dragon Ball Z in the United States. So like everybody knows who Goku is, whereas Luffy is gaining popularity. But everybody knows Goku and Goku going Super Saiyan. It's just one of those things that everybody like. It's like Cowboy Bebop. If you are just barely familiar with anime, you've heard of Cowboy Bebop, and Goku going Super Saiyan. Gear 5 is like I said, fairly new. And
now,
maybe 20 years from now, people are like, oh yeah, Luffy when that changed everything. But I think Goku is kind of the forerunner that did a lot of the stuff first that everybody copies.
Mm-hmm. That and arguably Giorno from JoJo Part 5, because
it's not delivery, it's Giorno.
Well, Giorno from JoJo Part 5, he was I'm pretty sure he's the first shonen character that had the now ancient trope of I want to be the king of something or the president. For him is I want to be the gangstar.
Yeah, I want to be the I don't remember what it is, but essentially it's like the leader of the gang.
The gangstar.
But anyway, I just wanted to rant about that because people saying that Gear 5, like they're like, it's been long enough. Gear 5 is more iconic. I'm like, no.
It's too soon.
Gear 5 is stronger than Nine Tails Naruto.
Even in One Piece, Luffy's not the strongest character. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what's funny? And I, at this point, this is post amble. How do you feel about the fact that you said that Luffy is gaining popularity in North America, right? How do you feel about the fact that his popularity hinges solely on the Netflix show? If that Netflix show bombs, the mainstream will never care about Luffy.
I mean,
I don't know if that really matters. The live show.
I don't think the momentum for Luffy, like for Luffy's popularity, will hinge on the popularity of the show. I don't think it's gonna go. I don't think One Piece show is gonna be successful for one very obvious reason. That being, it's too expensive.
We could talk about the One Piece live show later, but I think it's going to be surprising that it's going to be better than people think. I don't know if it's going to be a hit, but I think it will. I think it's going to be surprising. And
like I said,
I think if anything, though, it'll have people watch us go, "Oh, this is interesting. Oh, Netflix is only giving one more season. I'm gonna go watch the anime now," and it may bring new people to the anime. So if anything, I don't think it'll run people away. Like One Piece won't lose fans over this; it'll gain fans, if anything.
Sure.
I like. Do you think it's gonna pull a Cowboy Bebop, where the first episode's gonna be amazing, and then the rest is just bleh?
I feel like the creator of Cowboy Bebop had nothing to do with the live action show, and Shiro Odo's been very involved with the Netflix show. He made him fix a bunch of things, reshoot a bunch of things. So I think that this one will be better.
I heard a story about like the director of Cowboy Bebop watching the Netflix show, and it was like, all right, so the first scene was the first scene of knocking on heaven's door, but set in a casino instead of in a convenience store, and I immediately turned it off. And it basically said like, that's how I just knew right away this is not worth my time.
Yeah. So we'll see how that's going to turn out. It's
I just saw that.
It's so much fun. What's interesting though with One Piece, we're entering the final phase. I know people are like, whatever, One Piece is never going to end, but
we have been entering the final phase for the past 10 years.
But if
Metroid Prime is coming out,
and Metroid Prime 4 is coming out
anytime now.
But reading the story wise, you can tell that he's starting to move the pieces into like the final part. There's characters showing up, there's things being revealed. I'm not saying it's going to end this year. I'm saying there's probably still like 5 years left, but you feel like you're in the last act. The things are happening. And I know people are like, One Piece is too long. It's worth the ride. It's fantastic. So, of course, my kids will ask me a question about something that happened in chapter 500, and I'm like, I don't remember. That was 10 years ago.
So this is One Piece entering the last act. Any minute now.
Oh, come on!
Any minute now.
It would be one thing if Ichiro Oda had like lost the plot and the stories were crap now, like Bleach or some of the other shows.
Or it completely fumbles like the very end of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but it seems to be going pretty strong still.
Attack on Titan was going pretty strong, and then those last few chapters.
Who is he fighting in the scene where he goes Gear 5? Who is that with the Spike Club?
That is Kaido.
Is he one of like the four whatevers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He rules Wano.
He's
Magikarp.
In the anime, I'm sorry, in the manga, there are 4, right?
Yeah.
How many are left?
Because it keeps changing. It was Big Mom, Kaido, Shanks, and who was number 4?
I saw a
There's,
panel of like the new 4 emperors.
I think it's Blackbeard, maybe.
Yeah, I saw like a picture of like the new 4 emperors. It was like Shanks and Blackbeard are still considered the two of the 4 emperors, but the 2 new emperors are Luffy and Buggy the Clown.
Yeah, I love that Buggy keeps falling upward. It's so funny. Um,
He's literally me.
but what was cool was Kid, one of the other pirates that's like one of Luffy's rivals, tried to take out Shanks, and I put the spoiler thing back up.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen Shanks really fight, really since maybe here or there, but not really go all out. And Kid threatened the people on the island, and Shanks had like a future sight where he could see what's going to happen, and Shanks destroyed Kid. Like it wasn't even close. And so it's gonna be really interesting to see if Luffy has to battle Shanks at some point, because it was ridiculous. So
Are they still after the One Piece? Did they find it?
oh no, I mean they're still after it. Yeah, that's gonna be the very end.
We still don't even know what the One Piece actually is.
Well, we know that Roger found the
Friends we
One
made
Piece
along the way.
and he started laughing. So that's why it's at Laugh Tale. It was
And we know that it's not friendship.
uh
Oda has said it's not friendship.
So, spoilers, the one rumor that I've heard that I believe is correct is that at one point all of the world was in one piece. It was like one giant island, and at some point the government separated it. And so at the end, everything will be brought back together into one society where everybody's at peace.
What was that called? Like that theory for Earth. What's the name of that nation?
Oh, it's not Gaia. It's something. What is it? It's Pangea.
Pangea. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And every story ends with Luffy throwing a big party. So that there's been a theory that at the end Luffy's dream is to throw a worldwide party, and that'll probably be how it ends. Because if you know the whale Laboon, he is trying to crash through the mountain. So one of the theories is at the end he's going to crash through the mountain, and because Sanji's looking for all blue. There's a lot of theories that a lot of things that's been set up hundreds and hundreds of chapters ago are going to pay off here very soon. So anyhow, we could talk One Piece for hours, and we don't have time. We got to wrap up. So,
Well, no, you can't talk about One Piece for hours. You can talk about X-Men for hours. I've seen you two do it.
yeah.
Which, by the way, go ahead and watch our first episode of Shark Bites on the first half of Remender's X-Force run.
And we've also done part 2. It hasn't been turned into Shark Bites yet, but next, sometime this month, we will be talking about X-Men Schism and the first 20 or so issues of Wolverine and the X-Men, plus A versus X, I think falls in there too. So if you want to read along at home, that's what we'll be reading.
That'll probably be September 3rd, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because
so,
I think we're going to do some sort of movie thing next week, and then the 27th will be Tears of the Kingdom.
So tentatively, we'll be talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once next week, unless there's some crazy Disney news this week. I'm hearing a lot of chatter about Kathleen Kennedy has put her home up for sale, and that there's rumors from WW Pro that she is entering into severance talks this week about her severance package, and that she may be gone by October.
Which, let me just, I know I've badmouthed Kathleen Kennedy a lot. losing your house sucks, and so I empathize.
She has multiple homes, and
Never mind.
she bought the
Never
house for $9 million, and she's selling it for $18 million. I think she's okay.
Never mind. That is not what I experienced. we had to live at the church building for 2 weeks. That's what
it wasn't even a church building. It was like camp during the winter time.
It was a campground during the winter.
And the heater didn't work.
She is selling her property that is near Lucasfilm. So that's speculation that she doesn't need it anymore because she's not going to be working at Lucasfilm anymore. So
yeah. So I know you said that there was going to be some sort of like, what are those things called? Like the quarterly calls or whatever they are?
That was last week. It wasn't as bad as the previous ones have been. So it wasn't great.
That one before that was probably the worst.
If you have not heard the annual one, I think it was in April. It is insane. People just ripping Bob Iger left and right and going after him for everything.
It's like, how dare you ruin Twin Peaks 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
No, it was more, we're not going to talk about it now because it's YouTube, but social issues and stuff that Disney has been doing. They just called him out like to his face, like, how dare you do this, this, and this to the parks. And it was wild. So this one was more subdued. They did lose a lot of Disney Plus subscribers. They announced they're going to increase the price. They announced they're going to crack down on password sharing.
Which
and that
I'll get more subscribers.
No. So here's the thing. You know how Netflix is actually doing pretty well post password share thing? I don't think it will be the same for Disney Plus.
I see the password sharing as like very short-term gains. Like, sure, yeah, there's some people are resubscribing, but it's not gonna mean too much in the long term. You still have fundamental issues that have not been solved.
So the other thing that was mentioned, and they didn't go into full details, but basically Hulu and Disney Plus are going to be merging. And what I have heard is that eventually Hulu will be completely phased out and will just be Disney Plus, which Disney thinks this is a great idea. I don't think it's a great idea because there are a lot of people.
There's two very different streaming services.
Well, that, and a lot of people don't even realize that Hulu is mostly owned by Disney. And so those people that are boycotting Disney, once they switch over to Disney Plus, they'll just cancel their service. They'll just be like, yeah, I'm out. I don't support Disney.
Perhaps what Disney needs, and this is going to sound very sacrilegious to all the Disney kids, but they need to have like, I don't know, like a shell company or something, so they can do non-Disney Disney works.
Well, they've done that. They Touchstone and Miramax, and they've done that in the past, but they've kind of gotten rid of a bunch of those, and that was
for
a mistake.
For an obvious reason for Miramax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're trying not to get our channel in trouble. So, So, at the end of the year, Disney has to buy the rest of the shares of Hulu, and Comcast is the one that owns the other shares, and they're going to be arguing about how much Hulu's actually worth. So it's going to get ugly towards the end of the year.
I think Hulu's actually worth more than Disney Plus at this point.
Oh,
absolutely. It's the closest thing we have to actual television in the streaming world.
Yeah, so it's going to get interesting. The other thing they were talking a lot about was the ESPN and the betting stuff and all that. So,
yeah.
So, but anyhow, so next week, tentatively, we're going to talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'm going to tell Caleb how he's wrong about his theory about.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to rewatch it this week if I can figure out a way to watch it.
I want you to watch it with my theory.
I will. Because I just don't think that's, because I think you're misinterpreting that final scene.
It's not the final scene, actually. If you watch it, everything that is important that causes character development only happens in
Well, no,
the
now we're getting to spoiler territory for like anywhere.
Crime.
So
One.
join us
crime.
next week for more of this. But until then, I've been Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
And I've been Chunko.
and we'll catch you next week in
See ya.
a laundromat.
In a laundry.